Business Show. I'm Laura, and this week's episode of the show is a 2023 business planning session. So this is going to be a slightly different show to normal. I'm actually going to just basically guide you through a planning session for your business. Now, if you want the PDF workbook that accompanies this episode of the show, if you head to wholeheartedlaura.com/2023-planning, and you will be able to download the guide that accompanies this episode of the show. It's not essential, but it's really handy to have that if you want to see all the questions written down. But my invitation to you guys listening and watching this is to find a space of time that you can sit down and dedicate this to visioning for your business and to really feeling into what it is that you want to create going into 2023. And listen or watch this episode of the show and just pause after every question that I ask you to consider. So just pause, take your time with each question, and then by the end of the show, you will have a wonderful plan that is going to help you move into 2023 with some really good intentions about what you want your business to do and look like and what actions you need to take. Now, before I dig into those questions, just a reminder that my whole philosophy around planning is to have a plan but hold it lightly. If anything, these last couple of years have taught us is that planning in a very uncertain time for humanity, let's just face it, is really difficult, and sometimes our plans are going to have to shift and change, and that's not even thinking about our own personal circumstances that might shift and change as well. So I always think it's good to have a plan. I always think it's good to know where you're going and to know what you want to do and set those intentions, but it's always with the view that things might change, how you feel might change. And this is why I also reflect on my planning every quarter. So in the Wholehearted Business Program, we look at planning every single season basically, so that you have plenty of time there to, if something does come up, that you can shift gears and you can change things up as you go basically. So that works really well. So that's another thing to consider, is whether or not you want to reflect on this quarterly. But today is all about 2023. It's a very exciting time. And just another thing as well before I dig into the actual questions, this week, if you're listening, so this episode of the show is going to go live on Monday the 12th of December. This week, my very good friend Elizabeth Goddard and mentor who I've worked with, she's running this massive online Christmas party, which is basically like a massive kind of bundle where there's lots of people from all sorts of different niches are sharing some of their courses and products and programs. There's a free goodie bag, Christmas goodie bag, and that contains loads and loads of courses that you can get your hands on for absolutely no cost. And then there's a premium goodie bag, which is $100, which you can get your hands on loads more valuable courses and programs. Now, whatever ends up coming up for you in this planning session, whatever you feel that you end up wanting to focus on your business or things that you might want to learn, there's going to be something in that goodie bag. I can almost guarantee it, because there's so many different contributions in there. My invitation, I just mentioned this at the start, is to click the link in the description box or in the description of the podcast and head over to Lizzie's Christmas Party, sign up, and then you've got access to all of these courses that you can look through and select the ones that you think are going to help you in 2023. So I'll mention that again at the end just to remind you, but it's such a well-timed resource actually, because whatever might come up for you in this planning session, there might be things that you want to learn more about in the whole online business world, and there's probably going to be a course or a program that's going to help you with that in that goodie bag in Lizzie's Christmas Party. So check out the link below for Lizzie's Christmas Party, the link in the description for the podcast, or head over to my website, to my blog that accompanies this post as well, and you will find all of the info there. Now let's get into the questions. Now, before we get into 2023, we're going to do some reflecting on 2022. And we're going to think about what this year has been for us and what lessons we've learned and so on. So get comfortable, get a cuppa, get a piece of cake, get a scented candle on, get yourself set up. Pause now if you need to get set up, and then come back, and then we're going to get stuck in. So we're going to begin by closing out 2022. And my first question for you is to think about, what are you proud of from 2022? What have you done that makes you feel proud, that makes you feel good about yourself, that perhaps it's where you've pushed out of your comfort zone, perhaps it's something very traditionally successful that you've achieved. What is it that you feel really proud of from 2022? Write that down. And again, pause if you need to pause here. And then the next question is, what lessons have you learned in 2022? So if you can think back over the year, think of all the things that you've tried, the things that you've done in your business, the things that have worked, the things that haven't worked, the reflections perhaps that you've had on the things that you've done or your mindset. What lessons have you learned in 2022? And again, invitation to pause here and come back. And then question number 3 is reflecting on 2022. Whereabouts in your business did things perhaps feel a little bit hard or a bit sticky, a bit full of resistance, or perhaps you noticed some time sucks? Have you noticed anything around that? Where did your business feel just a little bit sticky? I don't know why that's the word that I use, but for some reason that's the one that comes in my head. But where did your business not feel good? Where were things more difficult than they had to be? Where did it feel like you had to push shit up a hill in your business? Question number 4 is, what did you love about your business in 2022? Think about anything that you just really adored doing, any clients that you really loved working with, any areas of work that you really enjoyed. What did you love about your business in 2022? Question number 5 is, what did you sell in your business in 2022? It can be really useful just to get this down so you can come back to it, so you can reflect on the things that you actually sold and the offers and services and things that you provided and offered people. And then question number 6 is, out of those offerings that you had, which were the more successful to offer? And that might be in terms of like how much fun they were, how much income they made, which services and offers felt most in alignment, and just reflect a little bit on that there as well. And then question number 7 is around your numbers or your metrics in your business. Now this is your opportunity to write down any useful figures that you have in your business. These can be really helpful. Basically, your metrics are the things that you can measure that show like a shift or a change. So here I'm thinking things like your income numbers, your expenses, the number of followers you might have, the number of people on your email list, the page views to your website, etc. You might want to get those down here. But also I like to attach to this question another question that you might want to think about at the same time, and that's your soft outcomes. Soft outcomes are the things that you might not have hard data to back them up, but they're still very important outcomes for you and your business. So it might not be that perhaps your email list hasn't grown very much, but actually you've managed to take every Friday off in your business in 2022, or you managed to take the whole summer off and things like that. It's thinking about what other outcomes or other metrics of success that aren't just these numbers, very masculine, energetic based things. This is your opportunity to write those things down as well. So also, as well as your numbers metrics, this is also about the softer outcomes and actually the shifts that you saw that perhaps you can't back up with hard cold numbers, but they're still really important outcomes for you and your business for 2022. And then to wrap up, the end of closing up 2022 is just a space to write some gratitude for 2022. Whatever has come your way, I'm sure there's been lots of good things, and it's just really lovely, I think, to close the year, close 2022 with some gratitude for things that you've experienced, things that you've manifested in, things that you've attracted, experiences that you've had, and this is your space to write your gratitude for 2022. Okay, so now that we've closed 2022, we've looked back and we've looked at the year that we've had, now it's time to get into planning for 2023. And I always like to start most of my planning sessions with a success check-in. And basically that is, the first question for this section is, what is your version of success? And it's always good to come back to this and get really clear on what your version of success is. And this is like for your life and business and how they interact. And this could be the version of success that you're working to ultimately. And it's really helpful to connect with that. That's like your North Star. And I think when we connect with that before we do any major planning, it really helps us to remember, actually that's where I want this to go. And I might not get there for another few years, but that's the North Star. That's the direction I'm going in. So it's really useful. So the first question in this section is, what is your version of success? And connected to that is really thinking about what success looks like for you. And there's so many different ways of answering this question. Really feel into it, feel what feels good for you to journal out of this. But again, like I said, it's really just about getting clear on that so that you've got that clear North Star, which direction it is that you're going in for your business before we get into some of the nittier grittier questions. And then the second question in this section for 2023 is to just reflect on your values in your business and also a bit around your messaging. Now, when we're clear on our values and we're clear on our version of success, it really helps you from getting pulled in all different directions. It really helps you to stay true to yourself as you grow your business. So I think this is a really lovely opportunity just to reflect on, what are your values in business? How do you want to do business with others? How do you want to show up in your business? What do you stand for? And remembering your values just helps you stay true to who you are, especially when it comes to planning out new things. And then the third question for 2023, this is your space to think about a theme or a word for the year. Now, this might be the same, like the word that you have for your whole life and business together. You might pick a theme or a word for the year just for your business. It's totally up to you how you might want to do that. Think about what that word could be. And it's really just, again, it's about all of these last 3 questions are about creating a really strong vision and guide and force for yourself and your business going into 2023. So whatever word conjures up the right emotions, the right feelings. Again, spend time on this. It could be more of a theme than a word for the year. Whatever you feel intuitively is right for you, go with that. And again, so spend a little bit of time thinking about a theme or a word for the year. And if you come up with something, please share it. I would love to know what your word for the year is. Pop me a message on Instagram once you've done this exercise, or reply to me on email, laura@wholeheartedlaura.com. I would really love to know. I'll leave a comment below if you're watching on YouTube as well. I would absolutely love to know what your word or theme for the year is. Okay, so now we're going to get into goal and intention setting. Now, I think there's a couple of different ways you can approach this, and I'm going to give you a couple of options basically, because we're not about the one size fits all here. We want some flexibility in this. So you've got a couple of options here. There's lots of different ways that you can approach this, but think about what feels good to you. Do you want to have an overarching goal and then some of these little goals underneath, or do you want to call them more intentions and goals? Like, whatever language feels best to you. This is just about setting, okay, when I look back on 2023, these are the things that I'm going to be measuring what's happened against. That's what we want to get from this bit. So think about whatever you want to be looking back on and thinking, okay, so I can say that I've achieved that, or I've done something towards that. That's what we are wanting to aim for with this question. So again, you might have a big main goal and that's it. You might have a big main goal and some intentions underneath. You could have an income-based intention, which is obviously like how much income you want to make. You could have an impact-based intention, which might be around how many clients you work with or how many people that you serve. You might want to have a growth intention, which is around your marketing, your email list, your audience. You might want to have an alignment intention, which is around how your business gets to show up for you. So a few different things there that you can consider and think about. And again, write that down, pause this, and then come back and get really clear on all of that. And then the next question is to basically, this is where you get to dream big and get all of those ideas out of your head that you might have about the different things that you might want to do in 2023 in your business. So this is really your space to just write out any ideas that you have about how you could achieve those goals or intentions that you've just set. So have a bit of a think about that. Write all of the different ideas down, take your time, have a big sheet of paper or something that you can write lots of ideas down. So now that you've listed out all those ideas, we're going to think about them under 3 different headings, if you like. So the first one is, which ideas sound the most fun? Which ideas sound the most impactful? And which ideas will best serve your people? So this is where you can start pulling out some of those ideas from that big brainstorm and pulling some of those out and just starting to think, okay, which of these is going to move the needle in my business? Which is going to help me achieve those things that I've listed, those goals and intentions? And again, which things are going to be the most impactful, the most fun, and best serve my clients? And start to pull some of those ideas out. Once you've got those ideas pulled out and you've got the best ones, it's time to start dividing them up into 3 different headings. Again, if you've got the workbook, this is all going to be laid out for you. The first heading is services and offers. So if your idea is related to your services and your offerings, perhaps creating a new group program or something like that, whack it under that heading. If your idea is connected to marketing and visibility, which is the next section, pop it under there. So anything to do with running a challenge or running a summit or something like that, under marketing and visibility. And finally, the last section is organisational. So any ideas that you have, perhaps it's a rebrand, perhaps it's a new website, perhaps it's finding an accountant, something like that. Anything that's more organisational goes under that heading. I'm pretty sure those 3 headings will cover most of your ideas. If they don't, create a 4th heading or change the section headers if you need to better reflect what it is. So you should have some different ideas under each of those different headings. You don't necessarily have to have them under all of them, but what I would say is that you definitely want to have some ideas under marketing and visibility. If you don't, that's a bit of a problem, because we want to be doing some marketing and visibility in our coaching businesses in some way, shape or form. So I would go back and look at your ideas and look at that section if you don't have any for any reason. But I'm sure that you will do. But those 3 headings, again, you can change them into something that's more reflective for you, but that's a really useful way to divide up those different ideas that you might have. And then the next thing that I would like you to do is to take some of those ideas and to start to map them out into a timeline. Now, again, this is totally optional. You don't have to do this part of it, but it can be really helpful to start looking at those ideas and think, okay, so let's just say, for example, you want to launch a group program. When are you going to do that in the year? You can do it by seasons. You can do the winter, spring, summer, autumn. You can do the quarters, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. It's totally up to you how you want to divvy up your year. But I would basically start to map some of these things in. Sometimes I look at every single month and think, okay, so I know that in January I want to do this. I know that in May I want to do this. I know in September I'm going to do this. There's going to be certain times, depending on your niche, there's probably going to be certain seasonal things that you want to consider. So there's a really good opportunity to start and just map things out on a bit of a timeline. However feels good for you, start to get those things out. And again, we're very much holding this plan lightly, so it might not be concrete, but it's really useful to get an idea in terms of what it is that you've got going on. Also, whenever you're doing anything like mapping out anything timeline wise, also consider what you've got going on in your life as well. Don't see your business in a silo. If you know that you have summer holidays planned in August, don't plan stuff in your business in August. I know it's fairly obvious, but it's always worth remembering that. And now what we should have at this stage is we should have some goals and intentions. We should have lots of ideas about how we're going to create the results that we want to see that's going to help us get towards those intentions and goals. We know which different headers those are under, so what kind of area of our business they are related to. We've mapped them out in a bit of a timeline for 2023, so we kind of know roughly when it is that we need to do certain things. And now we're going to start thinking about how we can chart our success with those things. Now, I realise that when we talk about planning, sometimes we use a lot of very masculine, structured language. So if that does not vibe with you, that's totally fine. Think of it in a different way if you like. But basically what we're looking at here is, okay, so how are we going to measure the change that we want to create? How are we going to measure our progress towards some of these intentions? So that's essentially what this is. So if some of that language sounds a bit harsh and scary, that's basically what we're doing. We're looking at how we can measure the shift and change towards some of those intentions. So the first thing that you can do under this section is to write down what things you need to measure. So this is where we might be looking at the cold hard numbers, like what things do you need to measure in 2023 that is going to help you see how you are progressing towards any of your intentions or goals. So again, very similar to when we looked at our numbers for 2022, it might be the same group of numbers that you want to look at again, but is there anything different? Perhaps you want to be on like 50 podcasts. Do you need to create a spreadsheet that's going to measure how many times you've been on podcasts? Think about those things. What do you need to measure to help you see your progress against some of those intentions? And then another thing that we can do again around helping ourselves, take steps towards achieving some of those intentions and goals is to break those goals and intentions down into milestones. Now, this is not going to feel necessarily right for everything, but if it makes sense for the goals and intentions that you have, would having any milestones help? We don't have a before and after. There's never just a before and after. There's always steps on that journey. And very much like when I'm talking to my clients about creating programs for their coaching clients, think about what milestones or what that journey is going to look like. So if one of your goals or intentions is, I want to, let's just take the group program example, I want to launch a group program. It might be, okay, so what needs to happen? Do I need to do some market research first? Do I need to create resources for the program? Do I need to create a sales page for the program? You can start to break it down into like specific milestones, and that's going to give you a better idea, a more realistic idea of what it is that you need to do to make something a reality. It's also going to give you something that you can measure, so you can measure your progress towards achieving something, and that can be super useful as well. So think about, do you need to create any milestones around any of these goals and intentions that are going to help you manage your progress towards them? If you went for the single big goal option when we looked at goals and intentions earlier, you're definitely going to want to have some milestones, or else it's going to just be like this big thing. You're going to want to break that down. But again, like very much my invitation to you is very much to feel into what feels good to you in this process and go with that, because you're the best expert in you, basically, not me. And then I've included a very specific question here. You might have already answered this elsewhere, but I've included it for a very important reason, and that's because out of all of the experiences that I've had in my business and the experiences that I have working with others in their businesses, that this is something really important, and we do not want to miss out this because it is so key in business growth. And that is, how are you going to grow your audience or community in 2023? Now, I know we've touched on things around visibility and marketing and things like that. So again, you might have already answered this question, but I wanted to have this question in very clearly so that you can explicitly state your plans for this, because it is important in business growth, and it is something that if we don't give it enough love and attention, it is going to make our business growth and achieving some of our business goals, even modest ones, much harder. So get really clear on what that is going to be looking like for you now. And then the next question about looking forward to 2023 is to think about where you are now and think about where it is that you go and those goals and intentions that you've set for yourself, and to ask yourself, what learning do I need to help me achieve those things? What do I need to work with any particular mentors, get any support in my business? Do I need to train in something? Do I need to learn about this new platform? What is it that you need to learn or be supported within your business? What kind of support do you need? What kind of learning do you need? Training do you need? This is your opportunity to get really clear on what that looks like now. And then the next question is, who do you need to be in your business going into 2023? Now, obviously, at the end of the day, you being you as you are right now is fine and is perfect, and you don't need to be anyone other than who you are. But I find that sometimes in business it can be really useful to think about the roles that we're playing in our business and the ways that we are showing up, and think about whether or not anything needs to shift or change around those. So look at your intentions, your version of success, look at all the things that we've looked at so far, think about what we've just covered, and think about who you need to be in your business, like how you need to show up in your business to achieve those things. Do you need to be more of a leader? Do you need to be more of a CEO? Do you need to have better boundaries? Do you need to be more of a community builder? Is there any shifts in terms of the roles and the way that you're showing up in your business that needs to change for you to step into this next level of success, this next level of growth for your business? You might want to think back a bit to 2022 and the things that, when we asked ourselves about what was sticky in our business, where was the time sucks, what things weren't working for us, and think about whether or not there's anything like connected to this and how you show up in your business that needs to be thought about so that you can change things going into 2023 as well. And then the next question is, how do you work best? Now, this might be around the physical location that you're in when you're working and how that impacts your productivity and how you feel. What do you work best in your bedroom or at the coffee shop or at the dining table? It might also be things like, actually, do you need to block off a certain amount of time? I did an episode of the show recently about how to have non-client days. Do you need to implement more non-client days in your business so that you can get more done? Think about, do you need to have any new boundaries in place? What is going to help you be the best you in your business? And it might be creating new boundaries, new working practices, all sorts of things around that to help you achieve that. And then another question is, are there any people that you really want to work with in 2023? And this is your opportunity to write a bit of a wish list. So this could be podcasts that you want to be a guest on, mentors that you want to work with. It could be people that you want to collaborate with, anything like that, any others that you want to work with in 2023. This is a great opportunity to write a bit of a wish list for yourself. Another question that is relating to your milestones. So this is your opportunity now, is to write a list of little rewards that you can use when you hit some of your milestones. We looked at the milestones earlier, breaking down some of those ideas and tasks and intentions and things into like little chunks. And sometimes I think it's really fun because what we often do, and I'm definitely one of these people, is we don't celebrate our success. So we let our little successes pass us by and we don't celebrate it. Having a little list of fun little things that doesn't have to be expensive or extravagant, but perhaps if you sign your first client, maybe it's about buying yourself a bunch of flowers or going out for a solo coffee date, whatever feels really good to you. Have a list, because sometimes it's really difficult to think on the spot, oh, that would be really nice. Or maybe it's booking yourself a massage or something like that. And when we reward ourselves in these ways, it just enforces that positive feedback loop in our brains that when we're doing this work, that it's good, it makes us feel good. And also, I think it's really important to just recognise when we are doing these things, because so often we're just ploughing forward, and sometimes these things pass us by and it's actually, what am I even doing this for? If we forget to actually mark our successes and mark our hard work and recognise that. Another really important thing that's just jumped into my head actually around connected to this is that sometimes milestones might not just be again, I spoke about very clear-cut metrics that are like numbers and hard facts, and have milestones connected to, I pushed myself out of my comfort zone like a motherfucking boss that day, and I'm going to get myself a massage, thank you very much. It could be things like that. So it might be, did you push yourself out of your comfort zone? Did you do something that was a really big thing for you that perhaps you don't think other people might think it's a big thing, but for you it was? Think about those things as well in your milestones, not just the very linear, obvious stuff. So basically what I'm saying here is to reward your efforts, not just your outcomes, because your effort in you pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, or you doing something new, or you whatever it is that is where you've put effort into it, celebrate that as well as the physical outcomes that your business achieves. And now, hopefully, what we have in place at this point is you will have we've done like a little closing down of 2022. We've looked at what we've learned, we've looked at what we're proud of, we've looked at places where our business felt a bit sticky and a bit difficult. We've celebrated some gratitude for 2022, and we're closing down, metaphorically closing down that chapter, and we're looking forward to 2023. And then we talked about our version of success, really using that as a North Star, a guiding light for when we are putting some of these other plans in place. We reconnected with our values and how that kind of look in our messaging a little bit in our business and what that looks like. And helping us to stay true to who we are as we moved through the rest of the planning. And then we looked at our goals and intentions and set those. Again, whether it's a big goal or lots of little intentions, or however it needs to look for you, we've looked at that. And then we've started looking at lots of ideas of how we can achieve those things. We've looked at the best ideas, we've took those, we're going to move forward with those. We've looked at what is services and offers, what is marketing and visibility, what's more organisational stuff. We've then looked at how we're going to chart the success around that. Do we need milestones in place? How are we going to measure our success? We've talked about all of this stuff. So hopefully now you will have a timeline for 2023. You will have goals and intentions for 2023. You will have ideas and actions all set out that you know that you need to do. A bit of a timeline as well. So you've got your plan for 2023. Yay! Brilliant, well done. That's awesome. You know how you're going to celebrate as you achieve some of your intentions, some of the milestones towards that, some of the effort that you make. We know how we're going to celebrate. Awesome. Now we're going to finish off this lovely planning session with just a little visualization. So I want you to just put everything down, take a big deep breath. I'm trying to take a deep breath, but I'm full of cold, so that's not going to work for me today. But take a nice deep breath, and I want you just to close your eyes, visualize yourself at the end of 2023, looking back at all the things that you've done, and just really, I want you to feel, and this is the thing, you can do like the visual part of the visualization, of course, and you can think of yourself thinking back on all the things that you've achieved and really stepping into that place, and you've got those intentions in place and you've achieved them in the goals. But I want you to feel into how it feels. Really feel into that and really get cozy with that feeling. Like, how does it feel? You sat at the end of 2023 and you've achieved so much and your business is transformed so much and you've done so much, and just how good that feels and what emotions it brings up in you, and just sit with that feeling for a little bit. If you want to take this exercise further, you can write a letter to yourself. So this is a really lovely exercise that you can do as well. You can write a letter to yourself it could be yourself at the end of 2023, writing a letter back now with some really encouraging words, or you could write a letter now to your future self and make some commitments to your future self. When the going gets tough, we can all have the best of intentions. Like, I know we all know this, we can all have the best of intentions and still really struggle to put the action in. For lots of different reasons, many different reasons, most of which have got nothing to do with ourselves or our willpower or our mindset, but sometimes some of them that will. And I think when we can really make that commitment to ourselves, that we are going to show up for ourselves, show up for our business, and do the stuff that might feel out of our comfort zone sometimes. And that's not to push out of our comfort zone in such a way that it stresses us out and feels really wrong or really bad for us, but to do things that are new, to take chances, to go off in that direction of our hopes and dreams that we've got for ourselves and our businesses in 2023. So you can absolutely do that as well if you would like to. Write that letter to yourself and just visualize yourself at the end of 2023, New Year's Eve, reflecting on the year that you've had and how fucking amazing it's been, and just get into that place. And I think that's such a lovely way to end a planning session. Other things just to invite yourself to do as well. If you're into all of this stuff, get your tarot cards out, your oracle cards out, get some guidance from them as well if that feels good to you. And yeah, I really hope that's been helpful. I am full of cold, I'll be honest, and I'm going to be editing the shit out of this, guys. I'm just full of cold, but hopefully that's been really useful for you. A few reminders as we close out, and this is the last episode of the show for 2022. I will be back, I think it's the 2nd of January, with my kind of personal 2022 reflections, plans for 2023, etc. with all of my income breakdown and all the usual stuff that I do in these kind of like quarterly income breakdown behind the scenes posts. So I'll be back then. There'll be a 2-week winter break for the show, but a couple of other things. So as I said at the start, Elizabeth Goddard's Lizzie's Christmas party is is going on right now. It ends on the 15th of December, so depending on when you're listening to this, it might have finished, but hopefully if you've listened to this sooner rather than later, that's still there. And again, for free, absolutely for free, you can get access to like hundreds of courses. When I ask that question about what do you need to learn, what do you need to be trained in, there's probably going to be something in that Christmas goodie bag that's going to help you with that. So check that out. Again, there is a premium version of the goodie bag, and I should have mentioned earlier on in the show, I have 2 of my products in each of those bags. So you can get my planning templates for coaches in the free goodie bag, in the regular goodie bag, and you can get my Priceless Power Hours program in the premium goodie bag. So do check those out. So you get mine as well. Do check out those. And also just to mention as well, as we come to a close, of course, I am here to support you in your businesses in 2023. So just a reminder of the different ways that you can work with me. Firstly, I have my Thrive one-to-one mentoring program, and that's over 4 to 6 months. And in that program, I'll support coaches to help them make some really impactful changes to the business, to the marketing, and to how it is that they're showing up, and basically everything. We take a really in-depth look at everything in your business so that you can attract more clients, make more money, and also just make sure that your business is showing up for you and that you've got the right work-life balance and stuff going on as well. With me, with my background, how I've grown my business and being a mother and having lots of different things going on, I get what it's like, and it's really about helping you make some very impactful shifts in what you've got going on in there. And it really is like a whatever you need to happen in your business to make it more successful, that is where we cover it in a very personalised and one-to-one way in that program. So that's Thrive one-to-one coaching. Again, I will put all the links and stuff in there below. I've got a couple of slots going into 2023, but I think I've only got 2. So if you are interested in that, do let me know, and we're going to have a bit of a chat about whether or not that's going to be right for you. We also have Wholehearted Business. Now, Wholehearted Business is my 6-month group coaching program. This program is really about getting more clients and getting your marketing shit together. That's essentially what it is. There's 6 milestones to work through, so that there's a little bit of structure there, not too much, but there's a little bit of structure to make sure that you get results, because that's what I really want people to get, is results. So that's in place there. And then we have a wonderful small group. It's not a massive group, but it's a lovely small group of other coaches who are working through the same kind of thing as you are, basically. And it's just perfect. If you're struggling to get clients and you're struggling to know what to do for your marketing, that is the program for you, absolutely. So do check that out again. I've also got my brand and web design packages. So they're there. If the idea of trying to DIY your website makes you want to pull your hair out, then let me do it. I love the design side of it. And also what you get from me that you wouldn't get elsewhere with just a regular web designer is you get business mentoring from me when I know specifically what you need as a coach, basically. So it works really well because you get that mentoring from me, and you get me doing all your design work and stuff as well, and all of the website building stuff. So that's an awesome program too. And then again, you can look at all of my different courses and programs. I also offer one-off coaching sessions, coaching and mentoring sessions. There's a few different versions of that, so do check that out. And basically, if there's anything that you need help with to grow a coaching business, I am your woman. So come and say hi. If there's anything that you need, I'm the person. If you're not sure which of those is quite right for you, again, I don't bite. I don't do pushy sales. I'm sure you guys probably know that about me right now or by now, but I don't do pushy sales. I'm not interested in getting someone to spend money with me if it's not going to be the right thing for them. So I'm not going to give you the hard sell or anything. But if any of that sounds good, if you really would benefit from that support going into 2023, then please do get in touch. I would absolutely be delighted to work with some of you guys. It's my favourite thing in the world. So do get in touch. And yeah, I hope you folks have such a wonderful festive season, and it's really peaceful and calm and wonderful. And then you come back in 2023 raring to go. And I really hope that this session's been useful. Wishing you so much health, wealth and happiness going into 2023. And thank you so much for listening to the show, watching the show. It is literally my favourite thing to do in business. I really enjoy creating this for you guys every week. It's just wonderful. I love doing it. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for giving me lovely feedback. It really means the world when you reach out and say that you listen to the show or that you watch the show. Thank you so much. I will see you in 2023, guys. Bye.